We have the folks from New Hampshire Technical Institute, NHTI, I think our first community college, and one of our great ones in our studios. We're talking about a very important field, and I love this, criminal justice and the legal community. We have Stacey Peters, one of the folks at NHTI, and Mike Raymond, criminal justice, former police officer. Thank you both for being here.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you.
Let's start with the fun stuff. How long have you been on the NHTI team?
I was there as an adjunct when I was still on the job as a cop. I started teaching here in 2000. 2000, and I took over the department in 2008, and I've been the department chair for the criminal justice program since June of 2008.
I want to ask you a question in a moment. What about you, Stacey?
I started 30 years ago as an adjunct at NHTI, and about 22 years ago, I took over the department for the paralegal studies program.
Well, you're both the department heads. How do you like that? I want to ask you both something, and I'm going to go back to you, Mike, on the law enforcement side. You said you started teaching while you're still a police officer.
Yes.
How fulfilling? Because you and I were talking before the show of people we commonly have known who've retired. And I know a lot of former public safety and police officers who've retired, and not the easiest thing to do. I mean, you look forward to it because you're in a tough business, tough job, and then be careful what you wish for. All of a sudden, it's like being a pro athlete. You're retired, and you're not around your team anymore, and you're retired. How fulfilling, Mike, was it for you and still is to be able to teach younger people to get into your field and stay active and have a mission and head up the Department of Criminal Justice? I mean, how fulfilling has that been for you?
It makes me come in every day looking forward to it, and I would, quite frankly, do this job for free because I teach.
Don't let the president hear that.
No. Sorry, President Tompkins.
He's great.
I teach because I remember all the things that I didn't know.
Yeah.
When I went on the job at 23.
Yeah.
And people talked about different issues. An example is a 1983 suit. Some sergeant told me, that could be a 1983 suit. And I'm thinking, this is 1982. What's he talking about?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know 18 United States Code 1983 was a civil rights violation.
Oh.
So all of those things that I didn't know that I learned the hard way, I like to impart upon the students.
And, we have our regular New Hampshire State Police segment we'll have tomorrow, brought to you by AutoFair. And I talked with the lieutenants and the troopers today. And today in law enforcement, you have to be so many things and so professional to so many people. The training and the professionalization is so important. Let me ask you the same question. Stacey, you took over, and what was your background?
I'm a criminal justice major, and then I went and got my paralegal certificate and been working in the private sector as a paralegal.
Okay, so your students, tell us the sort of the deal at NHTI if they want to become a paralegal, and for our audience, because I have one of my kids almost became a paralegal, but a lot of people might not even know what a paralegal is. I call it someone who works in a law office or a law practice and pretty much does all the work. That's just me.
I appreciate that.
It's like me in the healthcare system. When I meet a nurse or a PA, I go, "Oh, you're the one who does all the work."
I always say,
go ahead.
The person behind the person.
Yeah, I mean, you do a lot of the prep and a lot of the deeds and a lot of the work and estates and, paralegal. But tell us what it is and your program. How does it work?
Sure, happy to share. So it is I have a 2-year program as well as a certificate program. So it opens up opportunity for those who have not been in school and those that have already got some prior credits that they can bring on in and continue to build on. So the profession itself is, like you said, we're the guy behind the guys. So we do a lot of the investigative work. If you're a person that likes to do a good jigsaw puzzle, find all the information and put that together, that's what we do. We interview witnesses. We draft documents that need to be filed with the court. We conduct that whole process of a case and putting together that big picture and sharing that with the team. I always say that there's really 3 basic cores to being a good paralegal: the ability to organize your information, to analyze what you have, and be able to communicate that with your team.
Now, good opportunity, good deal still for a paralegal to go to NHTI, affordable, job opportunities? Tell us that part.
Fantastic. Thank you for bringing that up. Right now, it's just a great market. There is a great demand for paralegals. I don't have enough people graduating to meet the demand right now, so that is an opportunity. The fact of the matter is that it's in the private industry in a law firm, like you said, or we can be in other places like the Department of Justice here at the state level, working in a title company, an insurance company. So there's lots of different places of opportunity, and there is good pay and benefits that are going with that, so you can make a living.
You know, that's so important. And, you know, Stacey, I'm going to go to Mike and talk on the criminal justice, but we had the folks in on the medical imaging side. Mm-hmm. And I forget the director's name of the program, and this was before the commencement. She goes, Jack, we have about 150 people in our healthcare imaging program. And she said before they even graduate, every one of them's been hired before the commencement address. I go, you know, I don't know, no offense to Dartmouth College up in Hanover, I don't know if they can say 150 people in a certain program have all been hired before they graduate. And she said a lot have been hired with bonuses. Mike, let's talk about criminal justice. Now, you and I shared in the beginning, you know, you were with Derry.
Yes.
Okay. I've just had this, for better or for worse, 2 traits of my show now that's going on. J-Dog will tell me a couple decades. I just think people who serve others, we need to serve them. I know it's a crazy concept. So military advocacy and law enforcement and firefighters, first responders. I've always had this feeling from my TV and now my show to support. And I know it's a tough business today to get recruits.
It is.
And talk about the people coming into your program, criminal justice, presumably interested in law enforcement. Now, you correct me if I'm wrong. I bet you some are just driven. It's in them. They're going to become a police officer no matter what. You couldn't stop them.
Yes.
And then there's other people probably just sort of curious. But tell me about today's younger, or it might not be younger. You might say, Jack, we're getting people in the program 38, 45 years old starting out. They're switching careers. So tell us who your students are.
Students, for the most part, are out of high school. Criminal justice is really an experiential program rather than a very focus-driven. Kids watch TV. They see cop shows, which are so popular. They think, oh, I'd like a brand new Dodge Charger. But they don't realize that they have to work Christmas, work their birthday, and it really throws a wrench into it. So these kids come into the program, and they're experimenting in the field. There are those that are driven. A small portion of them, 10, 15%. I know 100% from orientation to watching them graduate at the police academy. I know their trajectory. The majority of them, though, are looking to see what they want to do. And some come to realize after the first couple of classes, I don't want to be a cop. I don't think I can do that job. But there are so many other opportunities that the criminal justice field offers. And I tell these kids,
elaborate on that a little bit.
Corrections is one.
Yeah, I know they just had, a $10,000 signing bonus for corrections officers, or if you become one.
We have the warden of the men's prison teaches our corrections class.
Oh, nice.
And every semester she's recruiting, taking interns and getting them to work up there.
Well, the other thing, too, is there's a lot of public safety jobs where a criminal justice degree would serve.
There is.
I imagine if you went to the Emergency Preparedness Center and you have a criminal justice degree, they're going to probably nod and say, okay, we can train you what you don't know, and thanks for coming.
But also, what these kids don't realize is everything that they touch and they look at has a security department. And I talk about places like Fidelity.
Right.
If you go into Fidelity, you can make 6 figures a year doing specialized work. But Target, for example, Target's in every semester recruiting for loss prevention people.
And they can't probably hire enough.
They cannot.
How many program, Mike, in your criminal justice, in a semester? How many in it?
95.
What about you, Stacey, in the paralegal?
I'm a small program. I've got about 25 a year.
Yep. And of those graduating on the law enforcement criminal justice, near 100% batting average for hire?
Criminal justice, it's more of a 10 or 15% that end up in the fields.
Really?
Yes. A lot of them.
Is that because, no, I don't mean to cut you off.
No.
You got to get hired by a department, then you got to go to the academy. So there isn't just an automatic, you become a police officer with a criminal justice degree. It's a step.
Correct.
Okay.
And they come to realize, even with their degree, they want to go elsewhere, because that's a great basis for probation and parole, juvenile probation and parole.
Yeah, I have a nephew in Maine, and he went through it, criminal justice. I was so hopeful. He's just a wonderful young guy. I was so hopeful he wanted to become a Maine state, game warden. Mm-hmm. And he's selling surgical supplies because someone recruited him in Portland, Maine. And I go, you could have been that beautiful truck out there protecting the deer herd and fishing game, working on your own the rest of the way. And he goes, yeah, Jack, but you know what? I love to hunt and fish, but Uncle Jack, but no offense, $200 or $300 a year versus 75 to 80 grand a year working holidays. So, the old money thing went out.
Well, I had a student that was really interested in fish and game.
Yeah.
And after he graduated, I saw him, and he was a Laconia police officer. And I said, what happened to your dream? And he said, I love to hunt and fish, but I don't want to do it for a living. I want to do it for enjoyment. So he went to the Laconia Police Department, did very well there, and he hunts and fish on his own time.
Yep. All right, we're going to hold the thought. We'll come back with our friends in the criminal justice paralegal side, New Hampshire Technical Institute. I am hearing from a UNH official, all friendly, by the way. You heard me talking earlier about in-state costs because of our poll question for New Hampshire students. So let's give it. It's from him. He's one of the officials there. I appreciate him. New Hampshire tuition in-state $18,500. That does not include room and board. Housing is about $14,000. So there you go. My UVM math will tell me that's $32K for in-state. That's my UVM math would tell me closer to $125,000, $128,000. 4 year, call that $130,000. 4 years, just economics. Appreciate our friends at UNH giving me the updated New Hampshire in-state student tuition and room and board. It's about $32,000 a year if you're getting no financial assistance. That's for UNH Durham, just as a flashpoint for you, because I was curious earlier, and I thank you for the wood deliverer who was working and shared with his customer that this guy was talking about UNH on the show. So one of the officials there gave me some numbers. Mike Raymond and, Mike and Stacey, we have paralegal and criminal justice, the two program directors, NHTI, New Hampshire Technical Institute. And our friends there reminded me, speaking of cost, the most affordable of the community colleges for tuition is the most affordable tuition in the state. And I got to tell you, $7 or $8 grand a year to get a half of a degree done, and then the second year the same. I don't know how you beat that. But let's go back to both of you. And Mike, you were talking during the break on the criminal justice side. There are some challenges you have. Even if a younger student wants to go into criminal justice, the private employers may outpay. There is a road to becoming a police officer today. It's very stringent. My state police will have our segment tomorrow, brought to you by the State Police and Auto Fair. I've known state troopers and commanders and troopers and lieutenants and sergeants and captains for years. I've probably never seen a more professional bunch of young state troopers, but they have to be today. They have to be everything today when they're out there. I mean, they have to be part priest, part interpreter, part enforcer, part friend, part, but the criminal justice path, I think it's so important because, everyone talks about quality of life. I have a theory, and I may be wrong. I think a lot of people are moving to New Hampshire from states like New York and other states because they want a safe community. And that starts with public safety. That's your police officers. That's your firefighters. That's your EMTs. That's your nurses. That's your teachers. So police are very important, and yet we have shortages. We have a lot of departments, including the state police. They can't get enough young people to become a police officer today. That concerns me.
There are factors that happen early on to kids. They're not sure whether they want to go into the field. They think it might be good, but all of a sudden, some of the large distribution warehouses are offering $28, $29 an hour. So these kids go to work at these jobs. They go out and they buy themselves a little sports car, get a ticket or two too many, get a tattoo inappropriately somewhere on themselves, and 2 or 3 years later, when they decide they want to go into the field, their record sort of keeps them out of it.
And I don't mean to say anything because you've been on all sides. You run the department. I could not be in your board because I'd be kicked out in a moment. I have no patience. But we got to start thinking out of the box if you're going to want to get young. I mean, I'm all for standards. I don't want to see my dad was a Marine. He passed when I was young. I don't want to see Parris Island and Marine training change at all, nor do I want to see BUDS training for SEALs. But if you're going to get younger people to go into law enforcement, you got to start looking at what are we going to do to recruit them. And if a young person served in the Navy and has a tattoo on the neck of his ship or her ship, I think you hire them. If they live in a community, we got to look at property taxes and say, look, if they're going to make less but keep us safe, cut their property taxes in half. Give incentives. We got to start thinking out of the box. So we're not going to have enough people at 2 a.m. when the 911 calls.
I think there's always going to be enough. But
see, he wouldn't want me on his board. Mike would say, Jack, you're off the board.
We would always have enough, because if you talk with many agency administrators, they'll tell you, let's say their allocation is 70 police officers. If they were up to 70, if they're at 64 and they have 6 openings, if they had 70, they still wouldn't have enough, because there are so many things to do. And you reference state police often, and think about the scope of their mission is the whole state, not just one community.
Right.
So no matter how many troopers they have so many things to do.
And these local communities, they're stretched. I mean, some of these communities, even if they're not as big. Let's say there's, 7,500 or 8,000 people in X department, their calls, the medical calls, they're stretched. Real quickly, and the other thing too, I've talked a lot of my show in other states, this anti-law enforcement, lack of support has been a problem. You're the teacher, you're the head of the program, you can tell me I'm wrong. We do better here in this state and region. I think people do appreciate their law enforcement, but I know in other parts of the country, I've had colleagues, you and I both know. I'm trying to think one, he had a niece or nephew in Chicago, and he actually said, I'm not sure I want them to become, this is a career police officer, I want him or her to become a police officer in Chicago right now. And a lot of it was the anti-police. They don't appreciate law enforcement.
There is an anti-police sentiment, much less in New Hampshire.
Much less here.
And I think a lot has to do with the professionalism of the police officers.
Yep.
If you present yourself in a professional way, if you act in a professional manner, people will respect that. If you don't, then people won't. So when you look at New Hampshire law enforcement, they present themselves very professional.
I agree. All right, paralegal, tips, thoughts, younger person, older person. What about people switching careers? I mean, to become a paralegal.
Absolutely.
I mean, are you seeing that?
I am, and the fact of the matter is that there is lots of opportunity opening up here in this field. Paralegals a little bit younger than most other professions, but we're seeing where we're kind of permeating into a lot of different areas outside that traditional law firm. And as you said earlier, the cost is really quite affordable. Most people are looking for a person that has an associate degree. They're not looking for anything beyond that to get your foot in the door and get a good job. So it is affordable. It gives you opportunity to be able to get that job and start your career pretty early. And then you can build off of that if you choose to do that. So
Go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
No,
Okay. Well, the other
I just host the show. You go ahead, take it away. You want to do the next hour? You both are welcome. I can just walk around the building. No, go ahead.
No, I was just saying is we've seen such an expansion now. It's not a traditional law firm. So for that person that's kind of saying that may not be my gig, picking it back on Mike as well, we can go into the Department of Justice. You can be on that prosecution side of things at the city level, at the county level, and at the state level.
And you want to think that. But you mentioned insurance as well, paralegal, for just the insurance industry. Hey, before we let you go, best way for someone out there to follow up on paralegal and then criminal justice, what's the best way to learn more?
Please reach out to me at NHTI. You can find me on the website. This is a great career. You can also see that the United States Department of Labor has indicated that this profession is stronger, better than average is their highest rating that they give it. And we're looking at about a 16 to 20% growth rate in the next 4 years in this area. So there's lots of opportunity for people to take advantage of this and to go on that passion for law and intrigue and uncovering and investigating.
Mike, how do you follow up with you?
NHTI.edu/criminal justice. My email will be there along with a list of all the required classes.
What about adjunct professors like yourself? Are you looking for anyone out there who might bring something to the table, who might be good, part-time teachers, or are you full?
We're full right now because we have all part-time instructors that are either full-time police officers, police chiefs throughout the community, or attorneys to practice in the state.
Well, Nick Willard, former U.S. Marshal's been listening. Nick, you can't. They said you're overqualified. No, I'm kidding, buddy. Thank you.